Hello, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh, you sound kind of quiet, so we're probably gonna have to redo your settings.
Oh. Okay, hold on.
Just put you at 100%, hang on. Hi, I'm Slushy. Oh, it was pew pew pew. You take your laser gun and go pew pew pew?
What the heck? Can what?
I think if we had a lot more leadership out in the hood and the ghetto for the kids, it'd be a lot easier to go into something positive than go into something negative. That you get 84,600 seconds a day. Imagine if you wake up every day with $84,600 in your bank account, and every day, at the end of the night, it's gone, whether you wasted it or not, and then the next day you get another $84,600. You would do everything in your power to spend it, because you know the next day you're getting $84,600. You don't want to leave nothing there. You make the best of it, right? You get 84,600 seconds. Why waste time? It doesn't carry over to the next day. It doesn't earn interest. You know, take every day and every moment and make something of it. Make something positive.
Wow, that is a great point. This song made a great point. I don't even know what this song is called. It's just like out of the random playlist. I need to like save that. That's a great sound clip. What even was that? It's literally just a dude saying the thing about 4686.
4,686.
I'm gonna have to send that to you. Like it's insane. Like the way he, like, yeah, he probably didn't come up with it. Like he probably heard it from somewhere, but he makes a great point. Saying that if you got, it's like $80,000 every day, you would,
Mm-hmm.
and it was only $80,000 every day, and the next day you only ever got $80,000. You would try to keep trying to spend those $80,000 because you're only ever gonna get the same amount or whatever. Yeah, it's a little bit stupid if you really think too hard about it. But then he was like, now think about it in the terms of the time in one day. It was like 80,000 seconds or whatever. And he was like, I'm going to invest that time as best I can because I'm only ever getting 80,000 every day. And I was like,
Interesting.
huh, that is a good point. That's a good point. Huh.
Oh my god.
Help. The ghosts are getting me.
You want to play in VR?
You probably shit yourself. That's what.
Oh yeah. 100%.
100%. One honey.
I don't know. So I guess I must have left my Oculus just on for the last like week or whatever.
Okay.
And it's not connecting to my computer because it's saying my software is out of date and not compatible.
Oh, that's a new one. Hello.
Yeah, it's like it can't do fucking Rift because your PC is not compatible. I'm like, oh, okay, that's really. So that's why it's taken me a little bit.
It's taking me a little bit. We are in the standby phase. We are live, by the way, so don't say anything too crazy. Welcome to the standby phase of Woof Radio, episode 8. Episode 8, Letting Go. Wow. Wow's Tetrapod. I think the reason I can't see my own chat for the for Woof Radio is because the client is like logged out, so I can't see the chat.
That's weird.
That's not weird. That's literally what happens. Bib, get with the times.
Get with the times.
Get with the times. Nitro Wolf and Frobsy on the casting couch. It's literally today's episode.
Oh, we don't have any guest speakers?
Nope. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. This one's all me. Me on the casting couch. Not.
I'm like stuck in the rift right now. Like it's not doing anything.
What does that mean?
Like just the rift place.
The rift place.
Yeah, the rift place.
The place with the rifts. The rift place. The place with the rifts. 50% off discount. Everything must go.
Everything must go.
Saturday, Sunday sale. Woo!
I mean, hello?
Hello? Boop, boop, boop.
Now it's just straight up not connecting. Oh my god.
Okay, stream looks good. Looks great. Looks great. Great. Hi guys. So we're still in the standby phase, but if you're in the chat, I am so sorry, but I cannot see the chat. However, I am here against my better judgment because I didn't want to do this today, but I'm here. I'm here for you. Wow. I'm here to uphold the routine so that I don't become a lazy fuck and then I end up just not doing Woof Radio. And we're right back at square one, and then another 2-3 years pass, and then we get another Woof Radio reboot. So that's the key. Consistency. Consistency is the key. Life lesson here. Even when it sucks, get out there and still do it. And that applies across the board. There are gonna be days that suck. Not every day is gonna be 100%. Like when you go to work, Monday might be 10%. Tuesday might be 60%. For you, Wednesday might be the 80%. And then Thursdays, you're 100%. And then Friday, you're back down to 30%. So what I'm trying to say is, it's a roller coaster. Life really is a roller coaster. The grand cosmic wave of emotions. Up, down, side to side. Down is up is down. Fucking, nobody knows. It's crazy out there. But the point is that you have to be persistent. If you stop and you keep stopping, it's going to be easier to stop and stay stopped next time. Obviously, I'm not saying go hurt yourself. And what I'm like comes to mind is working out. Like a lot of people have this issue where, they'll get into a routine and they'll do a week and then they'll do 2 weeks and they're like, oh, it's so painful, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, is it actually painful or you're just, like really sore? Because back when I was going to the gym every single day, there was times where I would overexert myself and, borderline get hurt. But then there was other days where, like it was like a leg day and I did just a little bit more than usual. And I would get in my car and I'm like, wow, this sucks ass. I hate my life. Like my legs fucking are in like pain. And then I would have to go up like two flights of stairs and it was like torture. But the point is that the next day I had to get back to it because if you stop for too long, that pain's just going to get worse. And then eventually you're just going to stop. Or there's the other thing is you're overexerting yourself and you're hurting yourself. So you kind of need to evaluate properly whether if it's actual pain or just soreness. And it applies with a lot of things. Like me doing this talk show, like there is pain and soreness to it, there's like I'm having to deal with like I guess the seasonal depression finally is getting to me. It's more, I think it's more the time schedule change. The fact that I'm like getting up at like around noon and going to sleep at like 3-4 in the morning. Like it's finally like crushing me like but yeah, eventually my clock is going to reset itself and I'll be okay. But yeah, I think there's a lot of soreness from it, just trying to get readjusted and still do Woof Radio and go to work every day and have people like really, really, really irritate me. And that's this whole episode. It's like recently with the, this spike in depression, which really would be a valley, I guess. But I don't know. Either way, whichever you're optimist or pessimist, however optimist or pessimist you feel about depression. So where was I going? There was somewhere important I was going. Oh, that additionally to, all the really bad things that I usually, traverse,
And
Frosty would like to join me. Wow.
yeah, it finally took forever.
Okay, so back to what I was saying. That just the seasons changing on top of all the bad news circulating, like a constant vortex of bad news. I think it just piles up and it just makes things so much worse. And I think that's part of what I was trying to get at is you can't take it too seriously. You can't just suck it all in. You don't internalize everything. Like at some point you need to step back. You need to step back and just relax. Like I don't know, just sit in your bedroom in your living room in silence and play your favorite game or read your book or go on a little trip, like a nature style trip if you have a national forest near you. Or if you don't have a national forest, just go out to the park. But it's getting pretty chilly and for a lot of people it being cold is also depressing, so maybe get yourself like a hot chocolate or like a hot coffee to like cheer you up, but you need to like maybe step away cuz internalizing everything like it does spin you up like crazy. And right before I came online, and oh, by the way, we are still in the standby phase. So this is not the episode. This is just me rambling on like open forum style, waiting for Frosty, who's standing right there. Um, so feel free to take a seat on the casting couch so we can get this film started.
Where's the
What are you looking for?
Oh, the colliders.
No, just manually. Do your manually number 2.
Oh, I see.
Right there, that's perfect. Now do number 2. But not like don't like poop yourself. Like just
Now do number 2.
to clarify, sitting position number 2 for your avatar.
Okay, is this
Yeah, that's sufficient. That'll work.
Oh.
Here, I can adjust the camera a little bit. Perfect.
Oops, that's my monitor. Okay.
What are you doing?
So I have a place to look.
So I have a place to look. Whoa. You're supposed to be looking at me. Look at me.
Oh, okay.
Look at me. Oh, jeez. So what I was saying before this, and it's pretty serious. You should never get so involved with like the news cycle and the news media, especially when something is so far away. I'm not gonna get into specifics, but let's say you're in Wyoming and something happens in Vermont. Like, you should not let that affect you like it's happening down the street from you. Like, you need to really stop and ask yourself, put it into perspective. It's like, is this happening around me? And does this affect me in the now or in the near future, like within a month? Because a lot of what happens, a lot of what I see, people internalize these really bad events and it almost puts them into a fight or flight mode. And most of the time, like when it's visible to everyone else, it's fight. And like I said, right before I came online to get into the standby phase, I saw this group of people talking about something that happened like many states away. And their immediate response, and it's a little bit weird because we shouldn't really be joking about it, but it almost is like you're trying to create like this plausible deniability, and you shouldn't really be going that far to where you get so internalized and so full of rage and angry to where you immediately uh, wish death upon your opponents. Like, whatever they may be, whoever you may disagree with, your first response should not be quotations, quote, we should kill them all by guillotine. Like, that should not be your first response. Like, you are too far gone at that point. That is not rational. Like, I understand you think you're saying that amongst friends, but that is extreme. Like, that is way too much. You should never be going that far. And like, that's the thing. It's like I looked at it up and down, and it's like I don't see it as a joke. Like, there was no setup, there was no nothing. It was just like, yeah, we need to start using guillotines on these people, and over disagreement, and it's insane to me. Like, I don't think I've ever immediately gone to that sort of like severe response over anything. Like, I have to like justify things. I have to think things through. But like I said, with this group, it got real crazy real fast, and I'm like questioning things right now. I'm like whoa, like I did not expect to see this firsthand. That's usually like what you see in these fucking Google Docs from like exposures and like these weird like conspiracy theory like groups. And this is supposed to be a very, like so far up until today, it seemed pretty tame. Like, it's completely unexpected. So this came out of fucking nowhere for me. To where, now I am aware that this group of people have pretty extreme people in it. You know, on top of the conspiracies, also threatening, you know, severe violence. Like I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy. It's getting real crazy out there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that next year is another showcase election for the United States, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to use that as an excuse to get crazier. I just, like I said, a lot of us need to stop, take a deep breath, and like reflect on what's going on immediately. Stop trying to internalize everything that you see on social media, on media, because it is, unfortunately, it is going to turn you into a monster. Like, I am 100% serious here when I say your response should never immediately go to, we should put him to a guillotine. Like, it's not the year 1250. We're not in France. Like that's the only way I can see it being a joke, but like there was no setup. Like, that just comes off as really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Whew, big sidetrack, big sidetrack. But Frosty,
Okay.
can you see the chat?
Yeah, I had the chat pulled up.
Is there anybody in the chat before we start?
Nope.
Nope.
I did invite Sin. Sorry, I was just talking to Sin, and so she might jump on
Okay.
just to see, but
Yeah, she can
no,
jump on.
no
Sure.
obligations though.
No obligations, none whatsoever.
Let me check my volume real quick. Hold on.
Let me check
Because
my
you said I was
volume.
quiet.
Well, you kind of were, but I think you're fine now. You should be okay now.
Okay, yeah, I sound okay.
All
All right, monologue time.
right. Um, I don't know, that like really like is like a shock and awe moment for me. Like I'm like still like trying to process that. I'm just trying to digest what the hell I just saw.
Oh.
That I'll send you the conversation uh through private messages, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things that's just like I guess I don't actually know these people. So, yeah, like sometimes you just like whoa. Whoa, I did not know that you guys were this crazy. Like that's too much.
Yeah. Some people are just, yeah, crazy.
Fucking crazy like and that's like one thing like today. This is another tangent, but I wanted to talk about it. So, I saw a bunch of stuff that made me question, and now I am questioning if we ever actually went to the moon in 1960.
Oh
Then,
no. Don't.
like, I am questioning right now. But that's the thing. It's like I had a friend that was big into like star watching, and I remember him saying something about like there's mirrors on the moon that if you properly align, you can shoot a laser off of them. You can reflect a laser off of a mirror on the moon. And I've never verified that. So that's something I probably need to verify.
Huh.
Because if we didn't fucking put those mirrors on the moon, it's like were they already there? Like did some aliens fucking decide to put mirrors on the moon?
Well, I mean, didn't the Russians and Chinese like get up there too? Or no?
I don't think anyone's ever been there.
Really?
Yeah.
I could have sworn at least the Russians made it to the moon.
No.
Oh.
That's why I'm questioning shit. It's like so why are we having so much trouble getting to the moon now? And people back in, 1970 supposedly had the technology to get there. How did this happen? How is that possible?
Well, I feel like now there's like a lot of like rights and like I guess
You really think
like
so?
safety standards
You
like
think it's a red tape problem?
I think so. Like cuz okay, so why did the space race stop? The Cold War cuz we wanted to like shift our focus to like the impending doom of Russia? Is that what happened? Like
Well, the USSR fell apart and that was the end of that.
so it's almost like we like I don't know, stopped
Oh, we
caring
won! Woo!
about
We won! Woo!
right, we won and okay, there's no more reason to go to the moon type of thing. Like is that just what happened? Like
I mean that's the explanation supposedly.
cuz we had the space shuttle program, right? But that was mainly for
I don't
like
even know what the fuck it was for.
well, cuz the
just sending people to orbit and it's like yeah, they were transiting over to the International Space Station,
right. But
but
the
it's
ISS
like
has been around since like
yes.
the 80s, right? 60s, 70s? Like
Yes, but the ISS just floats in orbit like yeah, there's experiments that happen on the ISS and all that stuff, but it's like I think about it, I'm like it's all pretty pointless. I'm like,
yeah.
what? Like what's the point? Like so because it's not like they can do like direct maintenance on the satellites from there. Like that's actually not even any of their functions. So I guess it's more of like just it's just a space lab and they run space related experiments and like collect data that can't exactly be collected on the surface of the planet because of the interference.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's almost like, I'm being a little hopeless. But it's like from what I'm understanding from most people, that are supposedly credible is that they're saying, we've already looked as much as we can look. That's it. We're done. Like, there's nothing else.
Oh, like on the moon? I mean, I don't really believe that at all. Like, how much time did we really spend on the moon? Like, how long was Apollo up there for?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. I don't even know. They couldn't have been there for more than like fucking like 4 hours. It couldn't have been more than like 4 or 5 hours.
Right. And it's like, okay, yeah, we have the rovers up there, but it's like, even then, it's like,
But that's the
rovers
thing.
aren't humans.
That's
Like,
a good point, right? Like, I wonder if they have more lunar rovers. See, that's what I'm saying. I need to do more research. Like, I've never fucking cared whatsoever about really digging deep into like the lunar exploration stuff.
yeah.
Just not my thing. But like somebody like started, the anti moonlanders were making those points, and I'm like, oh, a lot of that shit does make sense for
Right.
like to be against it. Like, but like that's the thing. It's like even Nvidia has come out in support of the moon landing
Mm-hmm.
because Nvidia. So with the whole ray tracing thing, they had this demo specifically to recreate one of the pictures taken by the astronauts by Neil Armstrong,
Mm-hmm.
because people kept saying that the picture was fake, blah, 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 blah. And they ray traced calculated it to prove that it wasn't fake.
I wonder how they did that.
Yeah. So, according to NVIDIA, we actually did go to the moon. But I don't know. NVIDIA could be big corpo and they're lying to us.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I'm just kidding. I'm nothing against NVIDIA. Like, NVIDIA would never lie to us. NVIDIA would never lie to you.
Where's your monologue?
Where's my that was the monologue. It was
That's the
literally
moon
just
landing.
talking about the fucking moon landing.
Wow.
So yeah, no. Okay. This is the thing. It's like what I was saying, you can't take it too seriously. You can't sink yourself so hard on these conspiracies to where you get so absorbed into it that you're willing to fight somebody over if we went to the fucking moon or not. Like really, really take a moment to think about that. Like, it's like, does it actually fucking matter if we went to the moon or not? Like, to us as individuals, does it matter? Us in 2023.
I mean, I think it's cool. It's something cool that humans have accomplished. You know.
But has it had a significant impact? You, as Frosty the Arctic Wolf, has the moon landing and the Apollo programs changed your life in a way that's like significant?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah.
if somebody came up to you and got in a fight with you about fucking the moon landing conspiracy, it's what I'm trying to say is you should probably just let them have that, because they're too far gone to where they're going to have a fight with you over the moon landing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get this started. Welcome to Woof Radio. This is your host, Nitro Wolf, and Frosty, the Arctic Wolf, per the usual. Welcome to episode 8, Letting Go.
Ooh.
So, I'm going to do my monologue section where I do a little rant about my personal views about what the subject is, which is letting go. And then I'm going to give it over to Frosty, and she's going to give her response to that. And then we're going to go open forum. So if you have questions, please save them towards the end after Frosty has said her 2 cents, because I've had to leash Frosty before because she has this thing where she has to immediately jump on questions in the chat. So we're not ignoring you. It's just that we got to get through the monologue and Frosty response. Okay. So let's get this started. The topic, letting go. So what is specifically am I talking about in letting go? So I'm more talking about like the emotional sense of letting go. And it could be, it could be relationship related, but, it also has to do with events that have happened. And part of letting go, part of identifying your baggage, and that's really the topic, the underlying foundation here for this topic is identifying your baggage. To really do that is you need to have, that self-awareness and the time to give yourself to just sit down and think about yourself. And this time around, I'm going to be talking about the baggage. And baggage can come in all sorts of forms. It can come from your childhood. A lot of people do have childhood, they call it childhood trauma, learned behaviors, passed on behaviors, vicious cycle. And, that's baggage. You're bringing that with you into, a lot of the time, into everything else. And a lot of people don't realize it. They don't have the awareness for it. And they just do these things without even realizing that they're doing these things or identifying where they came from in the first place. Let me try to think of a quick example. I don't know. Like, this is a little bit extreme, but it does happen. Like if you have like parents that are extremely like verbally abusive at you and they'll yell at you all the time, like you screw something up, blah, blah, blah. Chances are you grew up and you either went one or the other where you are deathly afraid of failure because you don't want to get yelled at, or you yell at people who you perceive to be under you. So there's your like two pathways. I mean, obviously with everything, there's a whole array of things that could happen, but those are the two clear ones for this example. And obviously, for the example, like this kid grew up into an adult who yells at subordinates and, in some cases animals. And, when it comes to relationships, if that person doesn't see the other person as an equal, they're going to end up, exhibiting this behavior at them where, they're going to yell at them, or they're going to be so afraid of rejection and getting yelled at that they end up holding themselves back and they just bottle things up and make things worse later. So the important thing is to ask yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? Like, why am I reacting the way I'm reacting? And could it possibly be tied to something? So another thing that is very common is not letting go of like past relationships. A lot of people struggle with that. It's usually called like phantom X. And that's a difficult one for a lot of people, especially a lot of people that don't get into many relationships. Like if you have somebody that has like less than 5, like 6 or 5 relationships, obviously each relationship is going to be rather significant. And I'm not saying that the fix to that is, get into 50 relationships so that none of them matter, so that, your first 10 are like wiped off your memory because you can't fit all that information in there. Like I'm saying, like for you to progress and move forward and grow, you need to identify what exactly is hurting you or making you change your behavior from that past negative relationship or friendship. It could also be a friendship. You know, some friends do get close enough to where they start affecting your decisions. Like, you know, if you have a friend that you have to arrange a schedule with, you know, it typically you start getting closer to the point where, you know, you have to make certain decisions if you want to keep that person happy or if you want to, you know, keep them around. Even though you're just friends, it almost becomes like more maintenance. Like you have more maintenance to it because you guys are closer together. So when you lose that person, you know, it is gonna leave a hole, and you're gonna have to identify if that hole was a good thing or not. So where am I going with this? Hang on. Give me 5 seconds to like piece this all together inside my head. um, give me some head pats. Maybe it'll help. I just had like a train wreck collision. My train of thought is just like in 50 pieces now.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's the tacos.
It's the tacos. The tacos are having a reaction. No, stop. So, letting go. So that first step, identifying. So if this person was like really abusive to you, and you know it persists, like let's say you know you're typically seeing things all the time, and it reminds you of those moments, like obviously you have a problem. Like this is definitely a problem. A lot of people would say just, you know, immediately like, oh, go to therapy, go to therapy, go to therapy. And it's like not everybody necessarily has the money or time to go to therapy, because yeah, you have to make time for therapy. But you know, I'm not dissuading from therapy, but you know, it's not always available. So you need to identify that problem and maybe start a journal and start identifying these moments where you feel this way. And you know, try to identify what caused it. Like, was it because you, I don't know, spilled your coffee because you were late to something, or somebody was late and you just go off the fucking handle? You know, start writing it down, start identifying it. And the next step to that is I'm trying to say it in a word where it makes sense. Like you need to start grieving. Like you need to like either grieve, like understand that whatever that is no longer there, or like understand that it's not there to hurt you. Like obviously if you cared about this person, like grieve, like just, you know, cry, be sad, try to get over it. If it was hurtful to you, you need to grieve for yourself and understand that that is no longer there to hurt you, whether it was a past relationship or shitty parents. Just if you've gotten away, of course, you know, if you're still there, obviously that's a different issue. You know, you have to figure out how to get away from that. But if you're already away from that, you need to like remind yourself that you're no longer there, and you need to bring yourself back and calm yourself and get out of that, you know, fight or flight You need to, get yourself in a place where you're calm. How people say, go to your happy place. If it helps, make a playlist with soothing music or music that you find relaxing, and listen to the playlist. Obviously, don't pick songs that have direct emotional attachment. If this was the fucking song that you were listening to with your ex on repeat loop, obviously that's gonna hurt you. Don't pick songs that have direct attachment. Try to find new songs. Try to find, a movie that you find fun as an individual. And that's really important about, moving forward and letting go, is finding who you are and making yourself an individual again. That's part of letting go, is rationalizing and understanding what is you. And let me give an example for that. Let's say Destiny, video game, right? Destiny. One of my exes and I played a lot of Destiny together. And I mean, I don't have any bad memories when I think about Destiny. Because at this point, I'm at the point where I've completely separated the two. Destiny was there for me before this person was there. So, they don't have to be attached to that memory. Very much the same way where I'm not going to be upset about, ordering a toffee nut latte just because one of my exes also liked toffee nut lattes. No, toffee nut lattes are my thing. They're not anyone, I don't see it as other people's thing. Obviously it can be their thing too, but I don't put that stuff together to where it's oh, I'm going to break down crying and, throw a tantrum every time I see a toffee nut latte. So you need to just do your best to identify these anchor points, and you need to start cutting away those anchors and taking back these activities. Obviously, there's going to be a few things that are impossible, and those things you just have to try to do your best to either destroy or just, I don't know, get them as far as possible. Here's a great example. If you were married before and you got a divorce and you have the fucking wedding bands, there is absolutely no way you can separate those. It's impossible. There's no way. And you really shouldn't be giving your next partner those wedding bands, because that's just fucking weird. So the best thing you can do is either destroy them or give them off to a pawn shop. So there are certain things that just you can't keep around, and you have to let go. I said the title, let go. So if you have these things a personalized coffee mug or a personalized frame or something, and it says, it's just one of those stupid like his and hers or couples stuff, you need to get rid of that stuff. Unfortunately, you need to get rid of it. If it's a Build-A-Bear, and it has a voice box with your ex's voice in it, you need to fucking burn the whole thing. Just get rid of it. Because if you just keep prolonging it, and you put it in a fucking closet and it comes out later, it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt. And because most people, what they do is they try to repress these memories, and they try to repress or suppress the pain because they don't want to deal with it. And that's really what, identifying baggage and letting go is. It's painful. It's a painful process. It's never easy. I remember having to clean out the basement after I was abandoned. And I cried. I cried all day long. like because I knew that I was getting rid of all these things and that person was never coming back. Like, and it was painful, but it's one of those things, it's like it needed to happen. And the sooner the better, because, the sooner you can move on. Because time is valuable and you don't want to sit there and bring all this baggage, because let's say I had kept, a whole basement's worth of stuff that was from my ex, and then I have a new partner, and then they're like, "Hey, what the fuck is all this?" And I have a fucking breakdown. So Frosty disappeared. But
What the
anyways,
fuck?
but anyways, now I've caused all these issues with my new partner that I should have gotten over already. Like, you don't want a continuing cycle of these problems, because when you're coming into a relationship, generally you want to come in with as least baggage as possible. It's more attractive to have less baggage. So, and it makes your life easier. It makes your life easier because there's a lot less questions, and your partner isn't going to show up through the door one day and you're like on the floor bawling your eyes out. And then they're going to ask you, "Hey, what the fuck happened to you?" And then you'll be like, "Nothing." And they're like, "Oh, so you just randomly curl up in the wall in the middle of the room and cry?" And then that's too many questions. Too many. So, yeah, identify, like, realize that you're doing this behavior. Figure out if it's coming from like a previous experience, and then do your best to either grieve it or, remind yourself, calm yourself down that harm is no longer happening to you. And yeah, I understand reliving things is painful, but the more you talk about it, and that's important, is you need to find somebody, like somebody you can trust, a confidant or a good friend, and you need to talk to them about these things. You need to talk about it. You need to, unfortunately, there are things that you have to relive because you're talking about them, but it's part of, moving on. Because if you just don't talk about it, don't talk about it, you're going to end up exploding later.
Oh.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to fix myself.
You are the big struggle right now.
Okay.
There you go.
Finally.
Finally. Okay. So that's my bit. It's a short one, but it's a very important one, because I see so many people stuck with baggage from all sorts of places, and they do these things. They have these behaviors that, they don't even recognize as being abnormal. Like, it's just, there's a good example. Like, you shouldn't be talking about somebody who's been out of your life for a year long so consistently. Like, if you're talking about the same person, like, on a weekly basis, and they've been gone for a year, you have some real fucking serious issues that you need to sit down and really address. That's all I have to say about that. Like, let it go. Just let it go. It's going to be so much better for you if you just move on with your life and drop your baggage. Drop as much baggage as you can. Identify it, get rid of it. Calm yourself down. Go to your happy place. All right, Flopsy, what do you have to say?
Yeah, no, I mean you hit all the points there. Like I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to letting things go. In fact, I have an unhealthy attachment issue, and I actually have a hard time with letting things go. And I I can say that I've gotten a little bit better about it as I've gotten older, because I feel like being somebody who's been in the dating scene since they were 15, like, you know, I've had partners come and go, and I'm not saying I've had like 20 partners. I've had like 5 or 6, like what you said, and it's like, yeah, each one, I thought was going to be the one or whatever, cuz I guess a lot of people do that and they have that mentality, and I think it's a really immature mentality to have in hindsight, because there's only what 1% of people that like actually stay together past high school. Like I only know one couple. I only know one couple in my life that have been together since high school. And props to them. They made it work, but like, it's like, yeah, I get it. Everybody wants to have that fantasy where it's like, oh, I want to be with the first or second whatever person, and my first boyfriend, I want him to be my last. And you used to see all these fucking stupid cringe Facebook posts about it too. It's like, oh, like it's like just girly things. It used to be like a Facebook page, but it was like, I want to be able to tell my child that his father was my first lover and blah blah blah. And it's like all this stupid shit, and it kind of gets like, especially as a female, it kind of gets pushed down your throat, where it's like, you need to be like faithful and stay with your partner like for as long as you can, like work things out and blah 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 and all this stuff. And it's like, did you have a question? Sorry, I saw your
I
hand.
have a comment. So that's a good tie-in for how does this all pertain to the furry community sort of situation? It's like you're talking about these people who are basically jumping to the end, making their conclusion, right? But I see it all the time. I see it all the time, and it hasn't gone away. It has never gone away. Because you mentioned Facebook from like what, like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
No, it's happening today. I've literally seen those posts where like, oh, I can't wait to be with them for my rest of my life, blah blah blah. It's like you're 20. How you don't know that? That's a very dangerous thing to fucking sink into.
Right. But it's like fairy tale, it's stuff we see in movies all the time, and it's like as a child, it's like you want that for yourself. It's like, yeah, I just want to have one partner and be locked in and committed, and it's like, unfortunately, the world doesn't work like that. And like, it probably, again, props to you if you can make it, happen. But it's like more often than not, like, yes.
More often than not, right? If you can make it happen without it becoming investment cost fallacy, if you can make it where you're happy and you're not only there because you keep telling yourself, but we've been through so much, like I've already been with this person for like 5 years, blah 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 blah, because a lot of people they'll keep telling themselves, and then it's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And just recently we saw a Reddit post about this woman who had been with this guy for 30 years. 30 years. And they had become pretty much sexually dead, like no sex. And then she ended up with this girl who she knew from like high school or something at like a retreat or something, and they ended up having sex. And it like apparently it like blew her mind. But for 30 years she had been telling herself that everything was okay, everything's good, this is the way it was supposed to be. And then she just snapped. She had that like explosion where she's like, oh, I've been wrong the whole time.
Yeah, 30 years is a long time.
But it happens. It happens, and people do it where they they keep telling themselves, oh, but I've been with this person for this long. I've been with this person this long. And that's its own episode too. It's like getting things done, decisively, being decisive. which is something a lot of people struggle with, because being decisive comes with being confident and knowing what you want. And I've told you is you've had a couple relationships where it should have been done and dealt with in 2 weeks. It was like 2 weeks. And yeah, that sounds extreme. That sounds extreme, but a lot of the problems that people have, you can typically red flag in 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks of good constant contact, you'll be able to tell like who a person is superficially. And almost more often than not, it's enough. 2 weeks is enough. Like, if you really, really want to gamble it, go for the 2 months. But I personally believe 2 months is already like way too long.
Yeah.
But this one here, it took her 3 years.
Not once, but twice.
And she kept like fucking lying to herself and telling herself, oh, but even making excuses like, I've been through so much with this person, like we can fix this, blah 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 blah. Like, this isn't, he's not a bad person. Like, and you really are just making these excuses to not let go. I said it again, let go, let it go.
Yeah. No, like I said, and I think it comes from, because I had this issue like as a kid too, where I couldn't let physical things go. Like, video games. Like my mom would always say, like, "Oh, why don't you just trade in the ones that you don't play anymore?" I'm like, "No, they're mine,
No,
forever." Like, I would cry when I would lose things. Like, I have this like weird thing about car windows and like making sure everything, like, because I think I had like a piece of paper or something or a drawing and it flew out of the car window one day and I absolutely lost it because I was like, it's gone forever. I don't have it. Like, it was my drawing and I'm so sad. So now like I always have to have the windows up to make sure like nothing blows away. Like, it's weird. But like and it's like I don't know if where that comes from. And I remember going to therapy like as a kid for it and like bringing it up because they'd be like, "Oh, like, do you share your toys? Like, do you and I'm like, yeah, I share as long as I get them back. Like, I need to have all my stuff back." And I still to this day, I don't really know, like,
I think that partially that's because you're a single child.
maybe it could
I
could
think
very well be, yeah.
Yeah, I think that comes from being a single child and not being constantly socialized. Because that's the thing, and I will say it, I'm one of 3, and I have definitely gone through the fucking brothership communism where you have this fucking little kid, who's he's 5 years younger than you, and he fucking shows up and goes, mine, 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 mine. And he would always take my shit, completely destroy it, break it, and then I would get it back. And the whole thing with shitty parenting, it always became this whole thing where it was like, well, he's your little brother. You can't just like, don't be mean to him. Like, he just doesn't know any better, blah, 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 blah. And it's almost like, it's like she was fucking failing at her job. Like, she should have reprimanded him. But instead, what I usually got is like, I had to come to terms that if I lost sight of it, that shit was destroyed. So if anything, what I learned was to be more careful about what was visible, like in the visible space. So I would have to start like securing things. I would have to like start remembering where I was putting things, to where if something was left out, like a box of crayons, they were literally all snapped in half, like 20 million different pieces.
Oh, jeez.
And I for whatever reason, I became the kid who wanted everything to be perfect. Like, they had to be in perfect conditions. Like, I didn't even like when I would like break a crayon. Like, I would have to tape it back together.
I did the same thing.
It was like that.
Yeah.
But
but
But yeah, you didn't get to experience the sibling communism. And
Yeah.
it's not once in a while. It's literally 24/7, 365. Like it's not just for objects, it's for attention as well. You end up getting neglected just because you're the older one. And that was my situation, where I didn't just get neglected the normal amount just because I was older. I was just completely just fucking cut off. Like, the only time anyone ever cared about me existing is if chores had been done or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it could be that, like, you know, just an unhealthy attachment to physical things, and it leads into my relationships. Like, and I think I talked about this in the previous video. I don't remember what episode, but we were talking about, I think, friends and friendships and relationships, and like, I had this thing for a long time where it's like, oh, I've known this person for so long, I can't just exit them out of my life. Like, I can't cut them out of my life because I've known them for so long. And the whole sunk cost fallacy thing. So that pretty much bled into, like, you know, friendships, relationships, and it was really hard for me to let people go because of that unhealthy attachment. And so
Yeah.
now, like, as an adult, I've had it forced upon me where people have exited my life, and some very important people that I thought would stay around forever, but they're now gone. And I'm slowly, like, getting over it. Mostly because I'm telling myself that if they really were my friends, like, they would have stayed around through thick and thin, because I have those friends, and I'm able to, I guess, identify, like, those types of friends because they're still around. Like, I have a friend of mine that she's still in Colorado, and after I moved to Virginia, it's like, she's still around through everything. She's heard both sides of the stories. Like, when I absolutely had my meltdown when my ex best friend left, she was immediately there and was like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, what happened? Like, I thought you guys were good. And I'm like, well, no, apparently. And so she went and did her own research. She, heard both sides of the story, and she's still here. And so that just proves to me that the people who, like, do care about you will stay with you, like, through no matter what. Like, even if you go and, like, murder somebody, they'll still be there, even though they might not agree with what you did. But anyway, I think we're getting off topic. But
Kind of, but also at the same time, there was something I said earlier, which is directly that is, if you have somebody that is going to leave a hole in your life that is actually, I guess, meaningful, like, you really need to sit down and go through the pros and cons. You really need to understand why why it's so difficult for you to start letting go. Like with this person specifically, and I'm going to use that as an example. Her friend that she had was not actually a close friend, and that's the thing. It comes down to properly identifying what type of friend you have. And in that situation, that itself was unhealthy, that she couldn't identify what type of friend this was, because she was making it equivalent that a best friend is equal to a close friend and is equal to a confidant, which we say that word here a lot, confidant. And the quick explanation is that a best friend can be a close friend, which can also be a confidant. And you can use those, but it's not always true. Not everybody is meant to be a confidant. And not every best friend has the capability to shift your decision patterns. So if you have a best friend who is actively shifting your decision patterns, you need to be very careful with your observations to see if they are actually shifting you in a healthy way. Like obviously, like most people don't pay attention to these things. But if you have, if you have a best friend who's your, best friend who is like, I don't know, what's a good example? If they're asking you to hang out with them every single day, whatever it may be. If you're getting high, watching movies, whatever, and they're supposed to be your best friend, and you end up getting into fights with this person, and they're taking up your time, and they don't care for what you're doing, and you end up telling like, hey, I'm busy, I actually have, I'm very tired from work, we can't hang out today. And they're like, what, how could you, like, they need to be understanding that, they're affecting you in a negative way. And this person with Frosty, like, she had no regard for how she really felt about things. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, the thing with these classifications is that they're only internal to you, especially if you don't talk about them. To where for her, she classified her as a best friend, but she may have been saying it was a best friend, but it was just superficial, like just a shallow friend, just, an outer circle friend. Because as time went on, and as, she didn't get what she wanted, and she didn't get her, her pickled by her, she kept getting more and more and more and more upset. And it's like, that's not really best friend behavior. That's almost like narcissistic. That's very self-centered. It's almost like she was using her just for like that little dopamine hit. Like, oh, look at how many people fucking want to interact with me. Look at how popular I am. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Or and I don't know. And like I said, this is we stray a lot here. So, and here's one question I have. It's like, was she doing the thing where she would keep you around so that she could look better by comparison, sort of deal?
I mean, it felt that way. I don't know if that was like her actual like intention, but I mean, we were definitely, uh, I used to stream a lot too a couple years ago, like when Phasmophobia had just came out. Like, I was playing with her almost all the time.
And that's the
And
thing.
she
That's the
would
thing.
never.
Who started that game? It wasn't her, was it?
I honestly I can't even remember. But the good thing is that I know it wasn't her because I don't have that attachment to her. So I can still play Phasmophobia and not really feel like affected by it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so anyway, yeah, I would be the streamer of the friend group. Like I was the first one streaming. Everyone else kind of picked up streaming afterwards, but you know, I had people coming into my channel that were like, I'm here for Bunny. Like, I'm here for, oops, I just name dropped, whatever. I'm here for her. I really don't care because everybody knows it's on Twitter. Look it up. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm here for her. I'm here for the girl that laughs a lot. Like she has that really unique laugh. And I'm like, okay. So she's basically using me as like a stepping stone. And it's like for her own platform. So it's like, okay. Now it's like, that's why like, now it's like I said, and it hurt at first. Like when this shit happened, it happened on my birthday, first of all, which makes me even more mad. And second of all, it's like, what's it called? I've had enough time now to sit and reflect and really just look back at our friendship and see all of the red flags that I couldn't see in hindsight. So like that, it takes time to let go for sure, because we're almost near December now, and this happened in May. So I mean, Nitro would tell you how much it fucking bugged me and how much he was probably annoyed by me talking about it, but it's like I couldn't fucking let go forever.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like Like with that situation, it's like there are things. There's baggage where, like I was saying, you yourself may not realize it's happening, but there might be somebody around you who has an outside perspective, which for me at the time, for her at the time, it was me. I was the outside perspective coming into all of this. And I immediately identified all of this. Immediately. Like, like I said, it didn't take me more than 3 weeks from the moment that I identified this person to be close to her that there was something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do remember you telling me like very early on, like, oh, like how could she be like your best friend? And I was like, I don't know, she just is. But yeah, and there again, I mean, some people are better at detecting red flags than others. Like you definitely, I mean, you know what a red flag is from the moment you see one, basically.
No, 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 not just the red flags. Is your behavior pattern. Like as soon as she was around, you were a completely different person. And
Oh, yeah.
I started noticing these trends and patterns, and it's like that's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's an important takeaway: is if somebody is your close best friend, you shouldn't be acting differently around them. You shouldn't
Mhm.
you shouldn't fucking turn into a completely different person than you would normally act with that person. And that's one of the things that completely tipped me off, like right off the back, that you like turned into this weird, like fucking like woo furry, all gushy, like lovey dovey around her specifically. And that
Mhm.
was I was like, whoa, what the fuck is going on there? Um, because I got to know you almost like at a baseline level. Like I started to get the real Frosty. Like you started like showing yourself to me like as you normally are on a daily basis, but as soon as she would show up, it was night and day contrast. You're a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really weird. That's not normal. Like there's something there. And that was like my first step towards like looking into things and being like, all right, what's going on here?
Mhm. I almost kind of do that, and that might be like I can't really explain that either. Besides astrology, but Gemini's are two-faced, and I slightly have some Gemini like traits in me. So I noticed that I would put on this face for other people, and I wouldn't really let them show themselves like my true self. Like what you're seeing now is basically my true self, and I would turn into this almost like hyperactive, like I just felt like nobody would like me, like the real me, if I didn't match their, I guess, what's it called? If I didn't match their level.
No,
So,
and there is, the need to fit in, and it's basic human psychology is we all have this need to fit in.
mm-hmm,
Where we start taking behavior patterns, we start trying to imitation. We try to imitate traits from other people to try to get them to like us, because unfortunately, our nature as humans are to, birds of a feather flock together. So when we don't have those feathers, we try to paint our feathers in the same feathers.
mm-hmm,
But more often than not, that turns into a sham, and it can become a vicious cycle. Like in this situation, it became a vicious cycle where she was being fake at this fake person, and they were being fake to each other, and it was revolving around each other to where it is a vicious cycle of being fake to each other.
yeah,
And it's just at that point, literally everything becomes fake. And she had a massive misunderstanding because, like I said, she somehow came to equate this person as being a confidant. And yeah, she said some things that she shouldn't have said to this person because she could not be trusted. but she told her anyways, thinking that she could trust her. But
Mm-hmm.
that immediately backfired because she was fake. Like, that was the thing. It's like she wasn't actually a friend. She wasn't actually a close friend. She was just there. She was just using Frosty as a number, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. You if you start acting fake, you know, and the other person is also fake, it just, more often than not, it's gonna get you in trouble. Because let's say the other person is, authentic. Let's say they really are that way. And then one day you show up and you're just not, you don't want to play the part. Then what? Now they're going to find out that you're fake, and that interaction is ruined.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. Either way, when you're not being authentic with people, especially people who you're considering close friends, if you're not being authentic, one of you two is going to get hurt.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely time will help you to let go. I guess to go back to our
Let it
our
go.
topic at hand, let it go. Yeah,
Letting go.
there's a lot of, and it's like we do live in a physical world. Like, there will be things that you share with somebody that is either irreplaceable, or like, you have memories in your head with somebody and that person's no longer there. Like, it doesn't even have to involve a breakup. It could be somebody who died. Like, it could be like, somebody who's just literally no longer here, and it's hard to let things go. um I haven't really had that I haven't had that moment yet, but I've had friends that have passed away, and like, everyone's like, oh, like, time moves on, like the world goes on, and it's like, yeah, I get it, like that's just the natural part of death. But like, I have friends in my like my gamer tag, like on Xbox, and they're not here, they're dead, and I haven't had the just ability to just delete the friend. Like, they're forever going to be last logged online like 500 plus days ago because they're dead. And it's like, people are like, well, you should just delete it, like delete the photos, delete, all this stuff. And it's like, that's really hard. It's really hard to do, and some people can do it more easier than others. And you know it's hard. But when it comes to like breakups, or like, losing a friend, and it's like, you have these memories, you can't just like beat yourself up over it because, oh, like, I feel stupid for not being able to forget this person. It's not about like forgetting them. It's just taking that moment and just kind of separating yourself from it. Like, okay, this thing happened. Like, again, with my ex-best friend, we went to a lot of music festivals together, and I have a lot of memories of all these bands that we were like, jumping around and like singing to, and like, but I've come now to remove her out of those memories and just try to have it where it's like an individual experience. Like, I can now go back and remember these moments without her being there. And like, again, it took a while, but you just kind of have to just start slowly moving them out of your life one way or another. And yes.
Okay, so that is the other situation. So you have situation one where the person you lost, they're still alive, but there were negative. There were a negative impact to your life. So that is a separate situation from having somebody die who was a positive experience to your life. So
Oh yeah.
what I'm trying to say is the process for those two is different. So when somebody's an asshole abuser at you and you finally get rid of them, what you're trying to do is trying to make regain your independence from that person. You're trying to move them out. They don't get to live rent free in your head. That situation, it is best for you to let go and try to replace those memories. And sometimes you just have to go out and do these things with your new partner and replace the memory. Just replace it with your new partner. And if it really is that painful, just get rid of it and let your partner know, hey, this is something I'm not comfortable with, and it's not something I ever want to do again. And if they ask, you can get into it. And they should understand you, unless they are very insecure about things. And then you have a whole different problem where you just stepped on a landmine where your partner has insecurities, which is also a problem. So that's a way to identify that one. But this whole letting go thing is to try to make you better for the future. So it's best for you to let things go as soon as possible. Preferably when you're single. Like in between relationships, is you try to get over these things so that they don't have to come up ever again. Like there's all these situations, that I myself have forgotten just because they're not relevant, they don't matter. And I'm not going to sit here and try to, tell Frosty everything I've ever done. Like it's impossible. And I don't think I have any like extremely negative experience aside from one or two that affect me today. So the other situation where somebody dies and there were a positive experience to you. So for that, you need to take the time to grieve. You need to take the time to remember them for the positive experiences. You need to understand, sometimes you have to tell yourself like, oh, they would want me to be happy. And obviously part of that is you can't sit there and be frozen, like continuously grieving this person because they're gone. Like at some point you do need to move on with your life. Like, yes, I understand it's hard, but you need to go through the motions of the grieving process and come to terms with the fact that they're not going to be around anymore. And it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to remember them. It's just the part that's not okay is when it throws you into a depression spiral and your life just completely shuts down. So that's the part you're trying to avoid, is falling into that depression spiral and throwing your behavior completely off the rails. So stay positive, think about the good things, and I guess a little bit cliche, but live happily knowing that they would want you to be happy. Yeah. So like I said, two different situations. We're not trying to say like, oh, they died, get rid of them. Like definitely not. Like if they died and there were a positive situation to you, obviously remember them, cherish the memories, and memorialize their life, and keep, tell their stories. Like, if you want to keep their memory alive, tell their stories, and, keep doing the things that you loved doing with that person. Like, you don't have to let go in that way. That's a completely different. It's not that. That's not even. It's more like it's not letting go when somebody who had a positive impact and they died. It's not about letting go there. It's about coming to terms with the reality. As to where the other one, a lot of people, become ingrained. It's like those people need to let go because cutting that stuff out is healthier than trying to, keep it around. Like obviously you need to learn from these things. You need to try to avoid it for next time. So the part that you need to retain and not let go is the lessons, the life lessons. Like with this whole 3 year thing where she just sat around for 3 years waiting for something amazing and special to happen that never happened. And you would think, like, take away that maybe you should be better at identifying these things firsthand instead of waiting 3 years for it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like, letting go of somebody who's abusive, like it can also be painful too. And it's like a lot of people
Well,
think that
yeah,
like
because like a lot of the time, you have these mixed messages, these mixed emotions where you'll come up with excuses where you'll remember a good thing. Like this person could be an abusive asshole to you, but you'll remember like, oh, this one time where they brought me flowers and chocolates and they were so sweet and they were taking care of me. And you'll remember that right after you got the shit beat out of you. And that'll happen because I've seen it happen.
mm-hmm.
Like people will make these stupid posts where they're like, I want to make this relationship work, blah blah blah. Yeah, he's verbally abusive and he killed my cat, but I love him so much.
Yeah.
And then all the replies are like, what the fuck? Like, you what? Like, you should have gotten out of there like right now. And
Yeah.
like these people are so stuck. They're so stuck in making all these excuses and taking these gold bits of memories and saying, "Oh yeah, but he could be a really really good person. Like I've seen it. I know he's a good person, blah blah blah." And it's like, "Well, there's plenty of evidence that he's not."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like for those types of memories where it's like, oh yeah, like it was a positive moment, you know. Again, it's like you have to accept and like move on from it because those little sprinkles of positivity that happened, like yeah, they were important to you at one time, but they shouldn't be now. Like they shouldn't, and like with my last relationship, it's like we traveled, we did all these things, and it's like, it was hard for me to let it go. But it's like again, acceptance and being able to just move on. Like
But
I can
also you had great examples of the negative aspects of this person where it's almost like you were what was making you happy. Like in this shitstorm of things, like it's like some of the stories you've told me, like it was
Mhm.
literally you doggy paddling for your life trying to keep your head above the fucking depression.
Yeah.
Because, you've told me some stories where it's like, oh, you went on this trip and you spent like $3,000 and you planned everything. And then this person was like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. No, I mean, but there were other trips where like we were both wanted to be there, and it's like, overriding that is something that I plan to do, whether with you or by myself, and it definitely needs to happen. Like, uh, I feel like that's how I'll personally be able to get over things is by just rewriting everything completely. And like, yes, that might seem cold. Like, oh my god, you're so heartless. How could you fucking, rewrite memories with somebody else who's not that person that you originally made memories with? And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but it's to help me. Like, it's to help my own like mental. And it's like the only person who's gonna care about you is yourself at the end of the day. Like, you know, and again, like the people who do care, they want what's best for you. So this is what's best for me. Like eventually I'd like to go to all these places with you and like rewrite the memories so that way I don't have to always like, oh, like San Francisco is just gonna make me remember him. Like Las Vegas is just going to remember it, like all these things. I don't want to have to keep resorting to that in my head,
And
about that.
here's one thing I want to say, right? You have these people. You have these people who'll say, "Oh, how could you do that? How could you be so cold?" Blah blah blah, and they'll like shame you. They'll shame you into the ground, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll go home and get slapped by their husband and find their dead cat in the bathtub.
And basically, I
This
mean,
same
these people
people, same
are,
people.
yeah, they're hypocrites, basically. Like everybody that has told me these things are hypocrites because they themselves are trapped in their own, I guess, hellscape, and like they just don't want to do anything about it. So they're almost like jealous that I was able to get out of it. So that's, I guess, their way of coping is by shaming people who get out of, situations.
No, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like there's just so many situations, especially like these long term like negative relationships where just people don't understand the reality of things, mostly because they've never had to be in that situation.
Yeah. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
and then I
yeah, it's like whenever I see a fucking Twitter post from a fucking 20-year-old saying blah 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 blah, and I'm like, yeah, how would you know that? Have you lived it? Like, you're 20. I guarantee you don't know anything.
yeah, like being this close to 30, I still don't know anything. But I look at 20-year-olds now and I'm like, wow, you guys have so much. You guys don't even know. Like, I don't
Don't
care what
even
y'all
know.
say. Anybody under 25 right now, like, has no idea. Like, I'm telling you
Yeah,
right now.
you need to like if you're listening to this and you're under 25, I just got to tell you patience. Like obviously you don't want to have patience. Obviously you want to have these long-term attachments a thing. You don't want to really think long term. You want to think in the now. But let me tell you, like, it is important for you to at least protect yourself from other people that should know better. And that's especially important because that's the thing. It's like we're almost getting into this era of like grooming where
Mm-hmm.
you have these younger people who like get groomed by people who are much older, and they kind of just accept that things should be that way, blah blah blah, and they end up getting hurt. So my best advice is to experience things at your level. Stop expecting to have, I don't know, stop expecting lifelong friendships. Stop expecting marriage from the first person you find. you know More often than not, I would say like 90% of the time that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, and then just do things for you because, like I said, it probably has to do with me being a single child, but I was always just meshing with other people. Like, I don't think I have very many solo memories of just, well, besides me being in my room alone and like reading books or playing video games. But like in terms of like going out and like, having a social life, it was always with other people. So don't be afraid to like go out there on your own and make memories. Like make your own memories. Do things for you. Because that's, if anything, that's one of my biggest regrets is always, I was always just waiting on other people. I was always, if I wanted to go somewhere, it was with somebody else, whether it might be my partner at the time or like, my friends, I think I could count on my hand the times that I've gone to the mall like by myself. Like So I kind of wish I just went out more, just on my own, did my own things instead of just waiting on other people. Because by the time you know it, life's gonna go by, and you're gonna be 30 years old with like memories of a lifelong past. Like literally, like I can count on my hand, the amount of people that are still in my life that have been around like 2 years or longer. Like everyone's gone. Like just and so it's like I have to now, as almost 30, I have to rebuild my social life. I have to, go out and meet more people eventually. But again, it's at an organic pace. Like you need to figure out like, you know, who's in it for you or who's in it just for some sort of gain for themselves. So, make organic friends, make good memories, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully I still have some time to make some new memories, which I do. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
you have time. You have time. But yeah,
Yeah.
you said something important, and yeah, letting go is part of the process of reclaiming your story.
Mhm.
Because you do need to have your individual stories. You do need to have, I guess, your character development as an individual.
Yeah.
Like you can't just have all these, you know, these stories with these people that haven't been around and have them affect you so much. You
Yeah.
you need to keep things relevant, keep things somewhat fresh. Like obviously, like I said, you need to maintain some sort of archive of the mistakes you've made, but you can't keep letting that define who you are in the now. You need to define yourself based on relevant things. Like you can't keep like if I don't know, if you were deeply humiliated when you were a kid, like somebody, you were giving a speech in front of your fifth grade class and the school bully like pulled your pants down. This didn't happen to me, but it's an example. Pulled your pants down in front of the whole class and it like destroyed your self-esteem forever. Like obviously that was a big moment to shape your character, but you need to let it go and try to move past that trauma and I don't know, because like that in that situation it would be pretty much unavoidable. Like it just happened to you, like you had no control over it. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you had no control over something, like I guess it would be a little bit more difficult because it's almost like the universe screwed you. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's situations where the universe is gonna screw you, and you got to understand that you can't get stuck on it. Like especially with like social situations. Like yeah, Frosty had a social situation that's probably going to be remembered for the next 10 years. Unfortunately, that's just what it is. But with most situations, most people, if it's been more than like 3 months, nobody cares. Like take for example uh road rage. I usually fucking forget within like a week. Like when people do their little stupid road rage spats on the road and I like witness it, like I usually forget within like a week.
Mhm.
Like if I don't
Shoot, I
know.
forget in like a day.
Yeah, there's a lot of like social exchanges that they're so meaningless. Like to you as an individual, it might be meaningful. Like I don't know, you're at the checkout and you just let one straight up rip. You just fucking like literally like 10 people look your way and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like here's the thing. It's a weird situation. It's funny, or like you might be like completely fucking embarrassed by it, but like a week from now nobody's gonna know what the fuck. Like they're probably not even gonna talk about it. Like maybe like two people at like a fucking get together with their friends who are like, oh yeah, there was this fucking guy. He was at the checkout at the fucking Safeway and he just shat his pants. But they're not gonna know your name. They're not gonna be able to pick you out on Facebook. Like,
Oh yeah, that's
obviously,
the guy.
yeah. More often than not, you're not gonna make fucking national headlines unless you're like, I don't know, you're at a fucking, I don't know, at a fucking Medal of Honor recipient's fucking ceremony, and Joe Biden is walking off the stage and you fucking shit your pants. Then you're probably gonna be on national news.
Oh no. That's why like I always think it's crazy how like, I don't know if you were like ever on TV or anything, but like just the people in like Marine Corps or something that are like, at the line with the president as he's going down the stairs, like, how do you guys just like keep your composure? Like I would fucking lose it. Like it'd be like, oh my god, it's Joe Biden. Or like, oh my god, it's the president. Like, but no, you have to like just stand still and like,
Yes.
God forbid something happens, like your hat flies off or something. Like I don't know, like y'all have
Well,
like
with MSG, HMX, like air crew staff, stuff like that, like receiving staff. It's just continuous training and respect for the position, and obviously, doing your duty, like knowing your place. Like you're not going to do that. You're not going to embarrass the position.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I mean, I can tell you there has been some like hilarious things happen. When there was it was while I was active, so it's like in like 2016. I have to look it up, but it was at the commandant of the Marine Corps change. Like they were changing through to a different commandant of the Marine Corps. And we do formations. We do formations for these change of commands. And there was a single guy. They were fucking standing in formation, and a single guy, he fucking passed the fuck out, and literally, like, everybody fucking saw it, and they had to drag him away.
oh my god. See, like,
and we were all fucking joking, like, yeah, that guy's gonna disappear. Like, he's gonna be gone forever. They're probably gonna send him to like fucking 29 Palms, like the fucking desert or some shit.
yeah, I mean, like that would happen at band camp too. Like they tell you like not to lock your knees, and we had a lot of kids locking their knees in position, and it's like, it's fucking 100 and something degrees in the Florida heat, and these kids just pass out like the tuba player just passes out, and it's like, well, and it's like you can't move, you can't fucking do anything because like you're all in a formation, and it's like, yeah, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we got.
But no, it's still on topic. Like you have to put it into perspective. Put it into perspective and help yourself let it go. Like, yeah, it was embarrassing. You thought like, your life was over, blah blah blah. Like this situation, like with the guy passing out of the change of command, like, like. I'm sure after 4 years, once he got out of the Marine Corps, like, I'm pretty sure nobody fucking remembers that. Like, I'm talking about it now, but I couldn't tell you what his name was. I know he was like a Lance Corporal in like one of the formations. That's as much as I know. Like, nobody knows you personally. Like, yeah, like his friends are probably still giving him shit about it if he still has friends from then. But it's such a small scope, and it like try to not to get too depressed about that, but remind yourself that your bubble of influence is so small that nobody's going to remember you in like 3 months. And that sounds horrible. That sounds like most people's nightmares. It's like, yeah, nobody's going to remember you. You've never left a footprint on this planet. And that's a completely different episode, guys.
That's just like existential at that point.
Yes. The existential dread of not having left a footprint. That is definitely a big fear for people. It's definitely something that I think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so try to not to get discouraged by that. But yeah, because there's the people that are consistently trying to leave a footprint, and it becomes very toxic because they're always trying to make a scene. They're always trying to be loud. They're always trying to, influence as many people as possible, thinking that that's going to get them their footprint.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's not even the clue. That's not the clue. That's not even the case. That's not even the case because, like, you think about PewDiePie, okay? Like, PewDiePie became the biggest YouTuber, right? He had the most
Mm-hmm.
subscribers, blah 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 blah, and it's like, and at least to me, from my perspective, he's basically become irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's like you just gotta remind yourself, like, everything has to come to an end. Like, even the memories of those embarrassing moments.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, I'm not saying that if you went through something traumatic, something that was a crime, I'm not saying like forget about it and write it off as like nobody's gonna remember. Like, in that situation, you need to talk about it. You need to process it. You need to grieve it. You need to understand what happened. And even if nothing can be done on the legal sense, something needs to be done on the therapy sense, because if it's affecting you and it's been affecting you for years, it's not healthy for you. It really isn't. Because all these, this negative self talk, the negative behavior patterns, it's all going to have a physiological effect. It's going to make you sick in one way or another. You're going to end up sick somehow,
Mm-hmm.
whether, mentally or actually physically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I've
definitely.
said my bit. I think I'm good.
Mm-hmm. No,
Definitely will.
I was just gonna wrap it up. Like, definitely therapy does help. Like,
But you
in
need to
terms
be
of,
accepting. You need to accept. You need to
yeah.
you need to understand that 70%, maybe even more, maybe 80% of the work has to come from you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these things are not things that somebody can hold your hand and like do it for you. A lot of what I talk about is, it's mostly it's self-help. It's going to be the self. Like, it has to be you. Like, I can't read your mind. The therapist can't read your mind. The best thing you can do is try to be as authentic as possible. And that's the thing. That's another thing that a lot of people end up failing therapy, is that they just do not get to the point where they're authentic and true.
Mm-hmm.
And therapists can only help you with what they know about you. Yes, there's recognizable patterns. They can take shots at what they think the problem is, but ultimately it's up to you to be authentic and true and try to expose yourself as best as possible. And then you have to keep doing the legwork. You have to reflect on yourself. You have to identify. You have to, you know, cope. You have to have your coping mechanisms. You have to have some way to alleviate the pain or redirect your attention. Like, if there's a certain subject that you're talking about with your friends and it fucking throws you into a fucking rage spiral, you need to find a way to redirect that anger. You need to find a way to cope with it to where it's not going to cause these scenarios where you're going off the handle and saying some insane shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to be civil. Like, yeah, I understand there's locker talk. I understand people say some really outrageous shit behind closed doors, but you should have some personal limits. Like, you need to keep yourself under control, because I strongly believe self-control takes a lot of commitment, and part of that is toning down how fucking invested you get into things, in the sense that taking it so personally. Like, stop taking it so personally. Like,
Oh yeah,
have the self-control to remove yourself from the situation.
yeah, like all these people that I see on Twitter and like getting so like about to have an aneurysm with these like arguments. It's like me personally, like there is really no topic that I will die on a hill for. Like I'm open to having all sorts of conversations and educated, what's the word? Like discussions, but it's like if you're gonna start going feral and like, oh my god, the moon landing seriously didn't happen. I can't believe you're a fucking idiot for not believe. Like, okay, like you gotta chill. Like, it's really, and we make fun of it all the time, and it's like it's not that deep. Like all these internet
Oh,
arguments, it's
it's not
really
that
not
deep.
that deep. Is it fucking affecting you personally in your day to day life? No, then let it go. Like
And
seriously, like.
that's the thing. That's the thing is, if you get that invested into something, and somebody fucking counters you and beats you, don't be the fucking piece of shit that goes, it's not that deep, because you're just fucking trying to back out of it because you lost.
Yeah.
Like, don't be fucking two-faced either. Like, if you're something, let me just come up with a fucking dumb example. Like, if I say, oh, I fully believe that Aztecs existed, and they probably exist today, we just don't know, blah blah blah. Obviously that's a crazy ass statement, but if somebody comes along and fucking fights me about it, I'm not gonna just back out and say it's not that deep. Literally, the best thing I could probably do is say, you know what, this isn't worth talking about anymore. Like, we're not gonna agree on this, and there's nothing else to say, so I'm just gonna block you now. And that's honestly what needs to happen, because you also can't do this whole thing like agree to disagree, because like, more often than not, that does not end well when you agree to disagree. Like, I know a lot of people love that pathway, like immediately slapping down the agree to disagree, but that just creates like this little counter where you just start trusting this person less and less and less and less. You can't just keep saying agree to disagree.
Well, I feel like if you've gotten to a point where like you've both had like an educated discussion about whatever it is you're arguing about, and you still can't really see eye to eye, then I think at that point it's okay to just be like, all right, like I can see we're not gonna see eye to eye to this, but I'm
If
not
you
gonna like
Yeah, if you
I'm
get to
not
the
gonna like
point
shit
where
on
they've
you,
if
like.
you get to the point where they've told you agree to disagree like 20 times, you should be like, hey, fuck you, we don't agree on anything.
Yeah. But yeah, no, if they immediately go to, all right, yeah, I don't feel like talking about this with you, like you're just dumb, then they're stupid. Like you should be open to having fucking, educated talks on things and like seeing
But
the other
yeah,
side,
yeah, but you need to be honest. You need to be honest.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to stop trying to use little fucking cop outs like, it's not that deep, bro, or, oh,
Mhm.
agree to disagree, just because you just want to abruptly shut down because you feel threatened in your ideological position. Like, just be honest. Just fucking say, listen, I'm not comfortable with talking about this right now, and I don't think we're gonna get to change each other's minds, so let's just move forward.
Yeah.
Like, don't fucking sit there and agree to disagree, because I see that as inflammatory. When someone says it's not that deep or agree to disagree, I'm immediately like, oh, okay, fuck you too.
Yeah. Yep.
Or just be honest. Just be honest in like the sense it's like, you know what? This is too much of a conversation to have in like less than 20 minutes. And for me to properly set down any foundation for what the fuck I'm saying, it's going to take like 4 hours. So why don't we just go our separate ways on this one? Because it takes too long. We're taking up too much time and it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because like that's the thing. Like I have all these topics and all these subjects where like sometimes I'm talking to Frosty and I'm like, oh shit, like I want to tell you about this, but there's like 2 hours of setup that I need to tell you about. Like there's all this like founding like exposition. There's all these like founding exposition that I need to do before I actually get to the fucking subject. Before I get to the topic. Like sometimes I'll bring up like world history, or I'll like and I'll have to like go in sequence for it to make sense. Like I can't just like, oh yeah, this one fucking random year in the year fucking 1872 fucking Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And then she'd be like, fucking what?
I'll be like, well, actually, he sailed in 1492.
Yeah, 1942. Yeah. Yeah, 1942, Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
But yeah. No, I mean, like, I'll sometimes ask you for a refresher, but yeah.
Yeah. So.
But yeah.
Yeah, but if you're talking to somebody who like already has their own set of foundational exposition, like more often than not, you're not going to stop and say, "Hey, why don't we like exchange notes, read this, and I'll come back to you in like a week." That never happens. I've never fucking seen that happen. Like not out in the wild.
That sounds like homework.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like when you're getting so invested into these things, like you need to do homework. You need to dig deeper into it to actually figure out what the fuck you're trying to say. Especially
Yeah.
with like all these conspiracy theorists guys, like some of them sit there like all day looking up for fucking things to validate their conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
And you I guess as a normal individual probably just saw a fucking 5-minute video on it or something from somewhere. Or for you it's just common sense, or it's like you're going off of the common sense. And uh here's a good example, like the fucking people that the 5G conspiracy people that are saying that they're trying to mind control you with 5G.
Oh my god.
Like, obviously, you and I, from our common sense, would see those people as being batshit fucking insane, right?
Yeah.
But from their standpoint, they're like, oh boy, I've seen all this evidence, and there's like this video that's like 2 hours that you have to watch to like really understand the cosmic energy radiation, fucking, and you can't tell me that my fucking, I've actually been to like power stations and measured the radial fucking emitters from Saturn, and they're all fucking like super fucking crazy about it, and that's their whole reality at that point. And to you, you're just like, yeah, that doesn't happen. And all I can say is you need to stay the fuck away from those people, because you are not changing their mind. Nuh-uh.
Yeah, there's so many people that are just so ingrained into what they believe that there's no changing them. And it only gets harder with the older person you get. Like just older people in general are just so hard to change their minds. That's why I'm like, oh man, when I'm like 70 years old, I hope I'm as open as I am now. Like I don't know what it is about just old people and just hanging on for dear life for the things they believe in, but it's like, geez, it's like they will accept no change. Some people,
Hmm.
okay, some, not all, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's the thing. It's like you gotta you have to keep exercising your mind. You have
Mhm.
to you have to maintain a sense of wonder. You can't just stay stagnant when it comes to character development, like growth. You have to grow.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, and it's like people can take offense to this and can try to cancel me or whatever, but I don't give a fuck if you're 70 years old. If I even sense any weakness in your character, I don't have to respect you. If I sense that you are stuck in an era from 50 years ago, I don't have to respect you. Like, if you have done no growing, that's just not something that I find respectable. Like, and this is something I was talking to Frosty about the other day is we have all these older people now who haven't really experienced the same hardships that older people in like other countries who have it pretty bad would have experienced. So it's almost like we have this disbalance in elderly where now we are confused because society tells us like, oh, they're elderly, they're wise, they have the wisdom. And it's like, well, now that we're here, it's like being elderly is not equivalent to having wisdom, and being elderly and having wisdom is not equivalent to being intelligent. So it's like this big bamboozle where it's just this constant getting force fed the, oh, respect your elders, they know better than you do, they know better than you. And it's like there's a lot of evidence that I've seen that they don't fucking know better than I do. And I'm not saying that from a perspective where it's like oh, I'm just a stupid kid, like when I was like 18 years old or whatever, 18, 20. Like it's like I'm really looking at it and it's like they really don't want to let go. They don't want to let go of the fact that they should not be in control anymore. But we have this problem, and specifically I keep going back to the boomers, where the boomers do not want to let go of society. They're so scared of coming, acceptance to terms that they need to give the next generation power. Like
Mhm.
they are so afraid of losing the reins of politics and, legislation and all this stuff. That's why you have all these people who will not let go of their positions until they literally die.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know. It's just like it's almost like we need to make our own mistakes as, as the next generation. We need to make our own mistakes. Like, yeah, we can take what we've learned, from our history, but they have just been around and holding on as long as they can, and it's like hurting us in a way. It's hurting our growth because they can't grow. It's almost like we're being held back because they're holding us back.
Mm-hmm.
But that's big picture stuff. That's big picture stuff. Like obviously, I'm just saying, getting older without doing nothing does not make you wise. You need to work. You need to exercise your mind. You can't just sit there and it's magically going to be granted to you as you get older. Like this friend who she had was older than she was, and it's just that you would have this common sense. It's like, oh well, she was like what, like 5 years older. Oh, she should have known better. Blah 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 blah. And it's like these people don't know better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and people like to say something to the effect of like, oh, like age dating range doesn't matter. Blah 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 blah. And it's like it does matter to an extent. Like, a 50-year-old shouldn't be with a 20-year-old. You can't tell me that that's correct. And the only way that I rationalize it is that 50-year-old should know better that they're doing something horrible to that 20-year-old.
Oh yeah, because didn't we do the math on that? Like if they were to have a kid, it's like by the time the kid turns 18, they're gonna be like 70 something and or dead. And now an 18-year-old has no father.
And they also have to go through the explanation of how this father died.
Yeah.
And I would think more often than not they would either leave out the detail that their father was a grandfather right off the start, or that they died of something else. Because how fucking weird would it be to be in high school and say, "Oh yeah, my father died of natural causes," and then everybody's like, "Fucking what? Like natural what?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, he was 82 years old or something."
Yeah.
And that's literally nowhere near normal. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the thing. It's like you would think, "Oh well, he was older. They should have known better." It's like, no, unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a long, complicated talk too. Like, okay. I don't. I'm gonna cut myself off right there before I go on a whole different tangent. Letting go, guys. I gotta let it go. I have to let this episode go. We're gonna end it up. Do we have anything in the chat? If you can see it.
Let's
No.
see. No, nothing in the chat.
Nothing in the chat. Okay, nothing in the chat. Okay. Well, this was Woof Radio, episode 8, Letting Go. I'm your host, Nitro Wolf, and sitting next to me is Frosty, the Arctic Wolf. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening in. I hope you have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.